Okay, right, we're here with Steve. He's going to show us a very exciting new pedal that's just come out from KMA. What is it all about? It has a lot of switches and ins and outs. Tell me, I'm confused already.
Right? Yeah, seriously. I mean, that's the most connections I've ever seen in something this size, right? Anyway, this is what we think is the most definitive solution for the end of a pedal board.
Right.
So, you know, there's a lot of guys who own a lot of stereo effects these days. There's a lot of guys who play in three-piece bands or they use IEMs, things like that. So if I run you through the feature set really quickly, my challenge for people at NAMM, and I mean this to people like who are here at the show, is if they could give me an example of where this product isn't useful, then I will happily give them one.
All right, okay.
But there's only one.
Challenge.
So anyway, you start off with your input signal going into the input here, and that can be probably the end of your signal effect chain, like your mono signal effect chain, right? And if you're fortunate enough to own one of those Friedman IRXs, or maybe the UAD Dream or the Lion or Walrus ASC1, you would run that into here in mono. Then from there, you get the TDT doubler, which is kind of not an ADT style doubling, it's what you would do when you normally double track your guitar.
Yeah.
So normally you would go, would record the guitar, place it on the left, and record it again, place it on the right. This mimics that in the best way possible with the width.
Everything up,
Yeah, exactly, at 100%, right? So then what we've done is we put the width control on it only, so that's your full stereo spread. Then you go to a 50-50, left, right. Then you go to a mono doubler, which is kind of like at you that way. But it is extremely useful for getting that kind of like fat width on those kind of tracks where you really want that it's unmistakable. The sound of double guitar is unmistakable, right? And we find a lot of people trying it here. When they turn the doubler off, they're like,
this is weedy.
And then they turn it on and goes,
I'm happy again.
Yeah, right. So that's the first part. Then we have a stereo effects loop. And one of the main reasons for that is there are so many gorgeous stereo effects these days. You know, you go anything from like the Merises, which we're featuring here, which are beautiful, to things like the Earthquaker Avalanche Run, which has been so popular, to Strymon, to any new number of... There's so many. But actually being able to sit and listen on headphones and monitor those stereo effects in line with other things which you're using is ridiculously hard to find a solution for. But this does that. It's a proper stereo effects loop, so you have the sends and returns on regular quarter-inch jacks, and then that's also triggered by the effects loop there. So also what's beautiful with the effects loop is that you can actually place it where you like in the signal chain. So you can move the IR loader here, which by the way is a dual IR loader left and right. You can actually run that before the effects loop or after the effects loop. You can also take the doubler and run it before the effects loop or after the effects loop. So signal routing is extremely useful for, say, if you want to run the stereo effects into 2 amps, or if you want to have kind of like a stereo bus going on where you record the double guitars and then you lay the stereo effects on top, then you can achieve all those things with that. We've added an ambience control there for kind of like the in-the-room
like
feeling.
A Ruby sound.
Yeah, because so many good preamp pedals these days also incorporate that. But it's really important to always state that it's at the end of the signal chain. So it never goes anywhere else. The ambience should always is at the end. So we've done the stereo effects loop. We also have power amp modes. Obviously that has IRs in it. Obviously IRs can capture some of the signal from a power amp itself. But this is subtle additional colouring which adds more fat to the sound itself. Now with the IR loader and the power amp mode, what's very interesting is that we have the off position. So with the power amp mode you would cycle through off, EL34, 6L6, KD88, and with the IR loader we have off, because you might like the IRs which are in the previous product, right? And then we have V30, greenback, and 2 user slots where you can load 1 cab on the left, 1 cab on the right if you like. And we have auxiliary input, and that's on mini jack or Bluetooth for backing tracks. And for example, you could do something quite interesting with in-ear monitors.
Or even just adding Bluetooth to your rig is doing that straight away.
But I mean, obviously you can't really use Bluetooth in a zero latency environment, but if you're playing along with backing tracks, that doesn't really matter. But for example, if you're playing live and you're in a band and you want to send this XLR output to the front of house and you want to run your in-ear monitors through this, you can also internally turn off the mix on the aux mix, so that is only coming from the desk to give you feedback and not coming out the XLR outputs. Speaking of outputs, there's tons. So we have dual headphone outputs, and they do say headphones on them, but you could use that for any sort of mini jack output you like. We have XLRs properly spec'd at the correct level for output. We also have TRS balanced outputs. They can obviously go to amps, they can go to a monitoring system. All of them run in parallel. So it's not like you use the XLRs and they don't work, they all work. So the different ways that you can send your system out from this is immense,
amazing,
right? So this is useful in so many different situations, and I haven't even scratched the surface on that in this. One example could be you could take the dry output here, and instead of using it for a tuner output, you could send it to another preamp or another effects chain. Then you could run the output of that back into the aux mix, and you can have a wet, dry, wet setup in your ears. And I don't know any other way that's been done before.
So what you're saying, the end game is a good name for this pedal? Then?
I think it is.
Yeah, I think it is.
And it's important that people take the name the right way. It's the game at the end of your ball,
exactly,
right? And we're really proud of this one. We really think it's great.
I mean, and the good thing with a pedal like this, it can be as simple or as complex as you want it to be, can't you?
Totally, exactly that.
And the USB-Cs for the IR loading.
Exactly, yeah. So you plug that in, and it's a pretty standard way of just putting files in separate folders.
And good to see it's just standard 9-volt.
It is, and it's running under 500 milliamps, so it's compatible with the current power supplies.
Nice.
Yeah.
That looks pretty amazing. And when is this shipping?
This should be shipping around mid-March.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a little earlier if we're lucky, but mid-March is
And what is the UK price on this?
That is a brilliant question, Tom. What is the UK price on this?
349.
I think he said 349. Yeah.
Very good. Excellent. Yeah. Well, kitchen sink, everything, end game, there it is.
Yeah.